All right, today we're putting two very different assets into a financial cage match. In one corner, you've got your high-end blue-chip collectibles, and in the other, the old-school champion, physical precious metals. We're going to throw them into a couple of extreme economic scenarios and see which one is still standing.
So this is the big question, right? When the economy really starts to wobble, when everything feels uncertain, where do you actually put your money? What's going to hold its value and protect what you've worked for?
And to make this real, let's put a number on it. We're going to start with a hypothetical $10,000. This isn't just some abstract theory. We're talking about a significant chunk of cash. Let's track what happens to that 10 grand.
And here they are, our two contenders. On one side, you've got what you might call assets of passion. Think rare comics, fine art, things with a ton of cultural value, but they don't produce any income. And on the other side, you have the original form of money, gold and silver, assets people have used as financial insurance for literally thousands of years. Okay, let's get into it.
So before we can throw them into the chaos, we have to understand what makes them tick. What are their basic characteristics, their strengths, their weaknesses? Let's get our baseline established.
Okay, this table really tells you a lot right off the bat. First thing you notice, neither of them pays you to own it. There's zero yield assets. But then look at the other two rows, and this is where it gets really interesting. For collectibles, there's always a bit of counterparty risk. Its value depends on some third-party companies saying, yep, this is real and it's in mint condition. And crucially, their liquidity is, well, it's terrible. Selling one can take weeks, even months. Now, physical metals, if you're holding it in your hand, there is zero counterparty risk. And you can turn it into cash pretty much instantly anywhere on the planet.
And let's be super clear about this term, because in a crisis, liquidity is everything. It's about being able to get your money out when you need it the most, without having to take a massive haircut on the price just because you're in a hurry. This right here, this is the key battleground.
All right, let's get to it. Stress test number one. We're about to shove the economy into a deep freeze, a deflationary crisis. This is where credit dries up and cash becomes king.
Just picture it. Prices for everything are falling, banks slam their lending windows shut, and people are scrambling for cash just to survive. The absolute last thing anyone is thinking about is buying a luxury good or a collectible.
For collectibles, this environment is an absolute, unmitigated disaster. Their value is tied to discretionary spending. When people get scared, that spending stops on a dime. The entire pool of buyers just disappears. So if you're forced to sell your $10,000 collectible, you're not getting $9 grand for it. You might be lucky to get a bid for $4,000. That's a 60% loss simply because you needed the cash at the wrong moment.
Now let's look at the metals. Gold, in this scenario, actually does what it's supposed to do. As the price of everything else is collapsing, the purchasing power of gold goes up. It becomes the ultimate safe place to be. Now silver, it's a bit more of a wild ride. A big chunk of its demand comes from industry, so an economic slowdown can smack the price down at first. But, and this is a big but, it's also seen as money. Sooner or later, investment demand rushes in and puts a floor under the price, preventing that kind of total collapse you see with collectibles.
Okay, let's completely flip the coin for our second test. We're going from that deep freeze straight into a raging inflationary fire, a world where your cash is just melting away.
You know, think stagflation, like the 1970s. The economy is dead in the water, but prices for everything are going through the roof. Cash is trash, and everyone is desperate to trade it for real stuff that can hold its value.
Now, in this fire, collectibles can actually do okay, on the surface. The wealthy will definitely pile into things like fine art to escape their devaluing currency. So the price tag on your collectible might go up for sure, but here's the kicker, those friction costs. If you go to sell it, the auction house is going to take a huge slice. We're talking 15, maybe 20%. Those fees can completely wipe out any real gains you thought you made. And this is the environment where precious metals were born to run. This is their breakout moment. Gold just systematically reprices itself higher to account for the currency that's failing. And silver? Well, silver in this scenario often acts like gold on steroids. Because its market is so much smaller, when that investment money comes pouring in, the price can just go ballistic. It acts as a high beta play, meaning it's way more volatile and can shoot up much, much faster than gold in percentage terms.
So, after we've run them through the freeze and the fire, where do we land? What have we actually learned about what these assets are for? Let's get to the final verdict.
And really, it all comes down to this. They are tools for completely different jobs. A collectible is a luxury growth asset.
It does best when the economy is flying high and everyone feels rich. That makes it a terrible choice for protection. Precious metals are the exact opposite. Their number one job is to act as macroeconomic insurance. They're designed to protect you when the traditional financial system is breaking down. And this quote from the analysis really just says it all, doesn't it? When you buy a high-end collectible, you have to accept that you might not be able to sell it when you need the money. You're taking on massive liquidity risk. But when you buy physical metal, you're buying an insurance policy that pays out precisely when things get chaotic. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own portfolio, your own savings. Is it all built for the good times for growth, or have you actually bought an insurance policy? Do you have something that's built not just for growth, but for survival? It's a really important question to ask yourself.